Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name's Rob Wilson and this is the Toyota GR Yaris. So first of all, full disclosure, this is actually my GR Yaris, so you can call me biased if you want, but I just had to buy one, given all the hype that was around it. So we'll start at the front anyway. Massive, great big grille for the enormous intercooler that's behind. And then you've got these weird little breathers. It sort of makes it look a little bit like Darth Vader's face mask. It's strange. They're almost like... but it's for brakes instead of a life support system for a man that was badly injured in a lava incident. So as well as the enormous grille, it's actually quite upright and tall. It's actually taller than a Golf R at the front, despite it being a much smaller car. It's only 3,995 millimeters long, which isn't that much bigger than a Lancia Delta Integrale, and that was a car from the 90s with no safety equipment on it. We also have the first of many GR badges, and these headlights are one of the few carryover components from the standard Yaris. Because this is a circuit pack car, it means we get forged alloy wheels rather than just cast ones, so that they are 13 kilograms lighter. There's also red painted brake calipers, and you also get Michelin Sport 4S tyres, which I'm told are second best to the Sport Cup 2s. But these are probably better for wet driving, which this is going to be doing quite a lot of because it's England. You can also see the hugely flared arches at the front and especially at the back, because the track is actually 60 millimeters wider than on the standard Yaris, and that's quite a considerable amount. Here's another carryover from the normal Yaris, is the mirrors. As we make our way down the side, most obvious difference is it's a three-door. It's the only three-door Yaris, which is mad that they would, you know, there's four components that are the same as the normal Yaris, which is the front lights, the mirrors, the aerial, and the rear lights. Everything else is bespoke to this car. It's not even completely Yaris, because at the front, the chassis is mainly Yaris, but then at the back, it's mainly Corolla, which doesn't sound that exciting, but trust me, it is. The roofline is significantly lower than on the standard car. It's actually about 45 mil lower here, but then at the back, it's 95 mil lower. That's nearly 10 centimeters lower, so we'll find out what that means for the back seats when we jump inside. It's also made of forged carbon, but then they've put this sort of carbon fiber wrap thing on top, which I'm not sure is as nice as forged carbon would look, but hey, Toyota clearly know what they're doing, so I'll listen to them on that one. I'll show you some more details of what's changed around the back. So here we are at the back then, and you can see a lot more clearly what that roofline does. It just makes it a lot more squat and angry and mean and sumo wrestly. Do you like the Japanese things? No. Okay, so anyway, you've got the same lights, tail lights as the normal Yaris. You get a nice GR4 badge just to let everyone know that it is four-wheel drive. I'll come to more on that later on. The exhausts, twin exits, and a sort of diffuser, not really. The exhausts don't make any noise at all, but there is piped inside, so don't worry about that. Let's open the boot up. And then you will find a not particularly large area for putting things. Normally in cars there would be some space underneath. However, you are greeted by the battery for the car, the tyre inflation rubbish, and a lot of styrofoam. Obviously there's a lot of four-wheel drive gubbins going on under there, so that's all you've got really. You've also got the world's most flexible sort of parcel shelf thing in the world, which is held on by one thin piece of rope. Weight saving everywhere, clearly. So anyway, let's move inside and find out what that's like. So here we are on the inside of the GR Yaris, and you can see that it's a sea of dark plastic and other materials. The steering wheel is very nice. It's a lot smaller than you think, and there's no flat bottom on it, which I like. I like a proper round steering wheel. On the steering wheel, there are many controls. Despite this being such a light car, it has radar cruise control and lane keep assist, and it has a reversing camera that appears on this screen, which also has Apple CarPlay on it, which is fantastic. You've got further down like a nice little shelf here, which you can put your phone into and run a wire to the USB here. You've got your climate controls, a 12 volt socket here, some fun buttons which messes around with the four-wheel drive, which we'll come to a little bit later on. The gear stick has actually been raised up 50 millimeters over the standard Yaris so that it falls more easily to hand. I mean, there's no distance there at all. And then further down we've got the buttons for things like the start stop, which you can turn off, the traction control, which you can turn all the way off, and a little button called IMT, which does your rev matching for you so you don't have to heel and toe. There's a nice little plaque here that says that it was developed for the FIA World Rally Championship, but of course it will never race because rule changes and COVID. This is a proper handbrake, and I will come to that later on, but that's a good thing to see in a modern car. The seats are very, very, very comfortable, actually, surprisingly so, and they've got good bolsters for hugging you when you're going around your corners. The only slight problem with them is, for me, is because I'm a tall, gangly freak, 6'2" for reference. I do sit a little bit higher than I would like, but I understand why they've done it. It's because rally seats are set up really high in modern rally cars, so it's to accentuate that feeling of, you know, you can see the road ahead more. But yeah, that's the only sort of real downside. There's some nice, I think they call it sports suede or Alcantara or whatever the hell you want to call it, on the doors where you rest your arms and things like that. But there are some scratchy plastics about the place, but I don't really care because it's not about what the interior is like, it's about what it's like to drive. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is demonstrate how interesting it is to get into the back when you're 6'2" and they've knocked 9.5 centimeters out the roof line. Oh god. Right, this is the bit I always hate on these car reviews. Oh god. Assistant. Okay, yep, that's, yep. Okay, oh, let's put that up. There we go. No, it's perfectly fine here. No problems at all. No, there's, you can't even tell that they've knocked 10 centimeters out at the top at all. Perfectly fine. My neck hurts quite a lot. Maybe if I sit side, yeah, that's much better. Right, yeah, this is better. To be fair, knee room isn't that bad. I can't even see the camera anymore because my head is so craned. Harry's now going to see if he could drive from this seating position. Would you want to be a touch further back?
I would be able to drive like this.
Yeah.
But it's not ideal.
No. This headroom isn't either.
It's fine here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah.
Do you want to get out?
Yeah, please, yeah.
I'm just admiring all the dials.
Ah, yeah. Oh, the other thing to mention, actually, is it's strictly 4 seats. They've actually cut out a hole here, just so no one can ever sit here. Yeah, I want to get out quite quickly, please. So here we are under the bonnet of the GR Yaris. This is where all of the Japanese wizardry has gone on. So we've got the world's smallest and lightest 1.6 litre engine, and it's also the most powerful 3-cylinder engine in the world. That's how you're supposed to do it. There's also a rather large airbox and various different things. The turbo's hidden away at the back. Also, this is a bit weird. I've never seen this sort of colour scheme used on any other sound deadening or heat shield on any other car. But what I'm most interested in is what the world's most powerful 3-cylinder 1.6 smallest, lightest engine ever is in the world feels like on the road. So let's go and drive it now. Right, here we are in the GR Yaris. Finally, after 6 months of waiting for this car, I thought where better to bring it than North Yorkshire, home of some of the best roads this country has to offer. And I'm not going to mess about, it's absolutely flipping marvellous. So let's start off with some of the stats for this car then. So we already know it's the most powerful 3-cylinder ever made, but what does that translate to? Well, 257 horsepower, although everyone who seems to have had one on a dyno seems to be getting 267 horsepower, so maybe they're doing the old Porsche tactic of not being completely honest about just how quick they can go. Torque, 265 foot-pounds, so quite a healthy amount there. And because it's mated to a fantastic four-wheel drive system, it means that you get 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and go onto a top speed of 143 miles an hour. Now that's proper hot hatch territory. So how have Toyota transformed this granny car into such a rally thoroughbred? Well, a few things. They've kept the McPherson struts at the front and they've replaced what would be a torsion beam on the standard Yaris at the back with trailing wishbones. So it's definitely got all the rally bits on it. To add to that, they've also stiffened the springs, retuned the dampers and fitted firmer anti-roll bars. I can't get over how good the damping is in this car. We picked some good roads to test the dampers on. Crest! Oh, what a fantastic little car! But it's not just the suspension that GR have been fiddling with, it's also the structural rigidity, because this car's actually finished by hand in the old LFA factory that Lexus used, where they strengthened the car by welding in numerous more places and adding significantly more adhesive to make it as stiff as possible. So you'd think with all of that stiffness being added that it would ruin the ride quality, but you'd be wrong, because while it's firm, it's not crashy. The best way I can sort of explain it is to say that you can feel the bumps, but you don't hear them. In my old up GTI that I had, if you went over a bump, you could hear it in the cabin, you know, it moved things, the dashboard would rattle. In this car, it just absorbs it. The brakes are fantastic. Not bitey, but a nice progressive feel. You can really lean on them when you need to. So let's talk a bit more about this special dial down here. When it's in normal mode, as it is now, it's sending 60% of the power to the front and 40% to the back, which is sort of your standard four-wheel drive setup on most hot hatches. But what this car can do is it can switch between track and sport mode. So track sends 50 to the front, 50 to the back, but sport mode sends 70 to the back and only 30 to the front, which means if you've got the skills of, say, Chris Harris, then you can probably make it drift about. I don't have those skills, and considering I've just spent an awful lot of money on this, I'm not going to try, but I'm sure that it's great fun. I mean, just feel the grip, even though it's damp out, round this chicane. Fantastic front end grip, and it just sticks all the way around. Amazing. Truly amazing, this car. I think the thing I love most about this car is just how back to basics and simple it is. You know, you've got standard analog dials, which on the normal Yaris you don't get. You get a digital display. All you've got here is just the little screen with telling you how fast you're going. But with that simplicity comes lightness. So the GR Yaris weighs just 1,280 kilograms, which is about 100 kilograms lighter than a Honda Civic Type R. And yes, I know the Honda Civic Type R is a bigger car in general. It's got 5 doors and you can actually put people in the back seats. But remember, this has got 4-wheel drive, so there's all that weight to contend with as well. An astonishing statistic that I found out is that this car's actually 60 kilograms lighter than a Lancia Delta Integrale, a car that was designed in the 70s and was rallying in the 90s. How, when it's got radar cruise control, lane keep assist, reversing camera, airbags, power steering, all these things, and it's still unbelievably lighter? That's incredible. Obviously, I've talked about the forged carbon roof, but it's also got things like an aluminium bonnet, aluminium doors, aluminium boot lid. So you might be sat at home thinking, how much does one of these set me back then? Well, prices start at just under £30,000, but you don't get the full circuit pack unless you spend £33,500. But I haven't spent £33,000 on mine. I've spent a £10,000 deposit, and that means that I get £250 monthly payments over a 2-year period. And that's 0% finance as well. Tempted? You should be. Although, you better get in quick, because not only is the waiting list ridiculously long, at this point more than a year, you also need to get one before they run out, because Toyota have said they're only going to make 25,000 worldwide. Now earlier I said I'd talk more about the handbrake. Well, this car's had heavy involvement from a man called Tommy Hakkinen. You may have heard of him. Used to be a rally driver. And also there's been a heavy involvement from the head of Toyota. And he is very much a petrol head. So normally in a 4-wheel drive car, you're not going to be able to pull on the manual handbrake, because that would cause all manner of problems for the 4-wheel drive system. But what GR have actually engineered into this system is it will decouple the rear axle when you pull the handbrake, so you can do proper handbrake turns and skids and Scandi flicks. Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about the sound then, because it's always a sore subject, because of course it's piped through the speakers. Does that bother me? Not even slightly, no. I always like the sound of a thrummy little 3-cylinder engine. That's why I like the Up GTI's noise as well. You also get a lot of induction noise. So what's the fuel economy like then? Well, not terrible, to be honest. In a normal cruise, you can get easily 30 miles to the gallon. Obviously, when you're having a bit of fun and your right foot becomes suddenly heavier, then you're not going to be getting too much above 20, even below if you're really on it. Okay then, so things I don't like. Well, it's a bit of a tricky question that, because really there isn't a lot that I don't like about this car. I guess the seat's a little bit too high for me. There is, as many people have mentioned, a little bit of a blind spot here where the screen rises out of the dash, but also the mirror comes down into the centre. Right, as the rain is now fully set in, I think it's probably best if I find somewhere to pull over and do a quick conclusion. Right, okay, so there's the Toyota GR Yaris as it's starting to rain. Fantastic, great. Things that I like about it, everything. Things that I don't like about it, minimal things. On balance, it's just a bloody amazing car, honestly. And the fact that you can get it for £33,500 is even better. And there's great finance deals on it. So what are you waiting for? Go and buy one of these cars. The hype is real, people. It's real. It's not perfect, but it's damn close. And I don't think you can ask for much more than that in this day and age. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and importantly, subscribe to see videos coming up later on. We've also got social media, so you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Drive Tribe, Reddit, TikTok. We also have a Patreon if you want to give us some money, and why wouldn't you want to do that? Because we're fantastic. We've also got some merch, which unfortunately I don't have on me, but I'll put some on the screen now. Anyway, there you go. Thanks again. Let's do it again sometime. Bye.